late in the elder law world, all you hear is negative news. There's really not a lot of good news in terms of the Medicaid program, which is really the only program out there if you don't have long-term care insurance, which everybody should have, which I know Julie's going to talk about, and I know Mario can tell you about. If you don't have the long-term care insurance in place, a lot of our clients are relying on Medicaid. In Florida, not so much for home care because there's such a limited amount of home care services that you can get paid for under the Medicaid program, but more so for the assisted living program and also for the institutional care program. And even the assisted living program is so iffy in terms of whether or not there's available funding for that program. It's on, it's off. Makes it so difficult to plan for our clients because at the time that we start the process, we may find out that there is funding, but right in the middle of the application process, all of a sudden the funding's dried up. You end up on a wait list and you're not sure what you can tell your clients in terms of whether or not they're going to get the benefits. They may very well qualify for the benefits, but they may not get the benefits because the dollars and the funding is just simply not there, and the state has to authorize it. And the reason for that is that it's an optional service under the Medicaid program. The Medicaid program is run by the federal government with participation from the states. The only service that's really mandated under the federal program is the institutional level of care. The other services are optional services that the state asks the federal government for a waiver for from the federal program to be able to provide these services, and they're not obligated to provide them. So that's why it's sort of iffy in terms of the funding. But there was recently an article in the Sun Sentinel on October 29th called Medicaid Nursing Homes Underpaid. So people who are here from the nursing homes will certainly already know this is true, but the estimate based upon the article is that nursing homes are only getting 92% of their costs paid by the Medicaid program. Now, I don't know about you, but I run a business or two in my lifetime, and if I only get 92% of my costs covered, I go out of business. So the nursing homes are really, and that's one of the points I know I've talked to a number of people in the nursing home industry that they really hope to make today, is that, in terms of your dealings with the nursing homes, there's another side to this, which is, hey, it's no picnic over here either, and those are some of the challenges that the nursing homes face and the facilities will face who accept Medicaid payments. They're still required to provide the same level of services. By law, they have to provide a minimum level of services, and even sometimes, that doesn't always happen, but here's why. They don't have the proper funding in order to do that. Something that has always concerned me is the following. It's no secret that if you want to drive people to do something in the United States, you do it with tax policy. People to buy long-term care insurance, instead of giving people a deduction that's based upon your age and which only escalates to a level that, in my opinion, is acceptable when you're 70 and above, why aren't we giving tax credits? You give tax credits to people to buy long-term care insurance, and guess what? All of a sudden, this can be one of the most popular items out there because it's a tax haven. Why is it that somebody who's 40 or less can only expect to deduct on their tax return $320 for the premiums that they pay, when they could be paying thousands of dollars in premiums? That's not a proper incentive, in my opinion, and if the government, because this is what happens every time we do a lot of, Ellen in particular, but I've done a fair share as well of legislative advocacy, and every time we talk to the legislators, they come back and say, why don't your clients have long-term care insurance? They should have this. Why are they coming to us and relying on the government benefit? And the answer is twofold, actually. Number one, it's not affordable for a lot of people. And number two, there's a whole segment of the population that's simply uninsurable. So even if they wanted to get the coverage, they couldn't. And so it's a real problem, but at least you can deal with the affordability aspect by giving people a real financial incentive. And in my opinion, you would have the government saving a ton of money. Instead of worrying about, how much money do we have left in the Medicaid program, if we really bring people to this well to drink, then at least you'll have coverage by the private companies, and the government's going to be off the hook for the coverage. So that's a real problem. And then finally, I'll just mention to you that you're all familiar with the Part D program, the prescription drug program that came about a couple of years ago. Well, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is the governmental agency at the federal level that is in charge of, or is charged with the responsibility for administering the Medicare and Medicaid programs, they recently issued a release indicating that the costs for these programs, the Part D programs, are going to escalate between 31 and 60% on average for all of the people who currently participate in the Part D program. So as it is, you're all familiar with the donut hole and the fact that if you really do have truly significant prescription drug expenses, you still have thousands of dollars that you're responsible for. Well, the premiums on the Part D are now going to go up rather significantly, 31 to 60%, as compared to 5.8% escalation in the Social Security benefit for 2009. So your benefit goes up 5.8%, which is high relative to other years. Sometimes it only goes up like 1.8% or 2.1% or maybe even 3%. So it is definitely high, but 31 to 60% as the projection for the premiums for the Part D. You're talking about, as everybody in this room knows, people who are on fixed income and whose assets are not going up. If anything, they're going way down in the current stock market. And so they have no way to replace that wealth. And now they're going to take a bigger chunk of their income to continue to pay for Part D, or they're going to drop Part D. And guess what? They're going to then ask Medicaid to pay because they can't. And now you have a further drain on the system. So these are the kinds, now that I've enlightened all of you and brought such positive vibes to the room, that really is the backdrop for today. These are the challenges, just some of the challenges that we deal with in our little elder law world. They, I'm sure, have impact on all of your clients and the people that you deal with. But keep these thoughts in mind, because this is the kind of discussion I would love to see happen over the next several hours as you talk about the challenges that everybody is facing. So Ellen, did you want to say?
I just want to end on a positive note. Here's a positive note. The Elder Law section and the Academy for Florida Elder Law Attorneys are hiring a new lobbyist, which is awesome. That lobbyist is going to be up in Tallahassee and working all around the state to further and improve some of the downfalls that Howie outlined. And I think that's great news. And we do want to talk in our plenary session today about what we can do from the grassroots. We've already seen in the recent campaign that grassroots work. Grassroots changes things. So we need to talk about how we're going to leave this session or this whole seminar today and what we're going to do on our grassroots in our own little worlds to affect change. And that's positive.
Okay, so now you get a little insight into Ellen's personality and my personality. You know us as well as you need to know us.